Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Long time no see. Just kidding, this has only been like a week since my last upload, and if you haven't seen it, I did do a shorts version of my Olive Young August beauty box, and it's gonna be right over here. So my last video where I showed you guys everything contained in the Olive Young August beauty box, I said that I did buy makeup on the side for that free shipping. So now I'm gonna show you guys like a whole makeup try-on of stuff I recently bought. And besides Olive Young, I also did buy some small stuff on Amazon, so it's gonna be kind of just like a whole like new K-beauty item try-on. So if you're looking forward to me trying out new stuff, then stay tuned for this video. Just a minor side tangent, but seeing my hair in the monitor, I just really want a haircut. Like, I don't mind this length at all, but you know, because it's so hot, it just makes like longer hair more tedious. But I just really hate getting haircuts because I don't know, but I'm just so lazy when it comes to getting my own haircuts, because it's really something I only do like once a year. That just shows how lazy I am. And yeah, I usually just get like the same thing. Like, I always just cut it off up to like my shoulder and then let it grow and then repeat. I have everything that I'm gonna be showing in this video right in this box. Like, I'm just using the same box from last week, and I pretty much just bought a lot of new stuff for the face, the eyes, and the lips. Most of the items I'll be showing you guys on camera are stuff that I've been using for like weeks already, so I do have like a better idea of what I think about them. So let's get started, shall we? The first step in my makeup routine will always be the eyes. So here is the main highlight of this video. This is the special collaboration between Roman and My Melody and Kuromi, and that is like this eyeshadow palette. So the collection has a lot of stuff. This is just only like the My Melody side. And just based on personal preference, I found myself gearing more towards the My Melody products, just because this is something I can actually see myself using daily. I've been using this palette for quite a while already, and here's footage of how it originally looked like before I messed up all the embossing. This is actually not my first time owning a Roman palette. I actually do own a palette in, I think it's called Peony Garden, and that one's a lot more cool toned and nude. So when I saw this one from My Melody, I just knew that I would love the color story, because it is just like a good mix of pinks but also neutral. Meanwhile, I haven't really used my other Roman palette because I find that one a bit too like what's that called, like whitish for me. So for the times I really like to put on eye makeup, I always reach out for this one, just because I think it's just like really balanced in general. Like I said before, my channel, I am really getting a lot more particular about the palettes I get. So at this point in my makeup loving phase, I want a palette that has everything in one. So stuff like a base shade, and then the main colors, and then mattes, and then a good mix of glitters and shimmers. Like, that's just the perfect ratio for me. And because this palette is split between like a pink row and a more neutral brown row, you can really do a lot with this palette. It's just that I'm not the most creative person when it comes to makeup, so I always keep doing the same styles over and over again, as you can see from my previous videos. I just find this palette in particular to be very versatile, so it doesn't really matter if you're cool toned or you're warm toned. There's something for like everyone when it comes to this palette. Something really important I have to know is that I'm not really sure how to get this online if you live outside of Korea, because for me, I was lucky enough to have a friend who was visiting there for a vacation, so she was able to grab the special Roman My Melody Kuromi stuff for us. But other than that, I heard that this is not really as easy to get compared to like other normal Roman releases, so I really can't say too much about how to personally get your hands on this. Okay, so that's a lot of talking for me, and I'm just gonna get to the part of the video where I show one makeup look using this palette. I always start my makeup looks with an eye primer because my oily eyelids really need it to show that pigment. Alright, so for the base color, I'm just gonna go with this slightly shimmery matte color. What I really like about this palette is that when it comes to like the arm swatches, it might seem really vibrant and pigmented, but actually when you apply it on with a brush, then it's actually a lot more buildable than you think. So if people are really into pigment, then you can definitely pack on a lot of color with each pan. But for me, I'm really someone who likes to layer up the shades because I'm afraid of like overdoing it. So this is really like the perfect formula for me. And also, I just personally find this pigment more suitable for daily wear. As you can see, I'm still trying to use the Philly Millie brush that I received back in February, and I'm still trying to get used to it compared to like the really cheap Forever 21 brush I'm used to using. And it's just more like it's just more of a learning curve for me. But this is really what the kind of brush that I see a lot of Korean YouTubers use when it comes to applying the base shade on their eyelids. It's just kind of, this brush is just kind of awkward to me because I'm right-handed, so I'm used to like doing this, but it's really hard to like inverse that action and do the same thing for your left eye. So like I said, I'm just trying to get used to using this brush. Alright, so next I'll be using my original cheap Forever 21 brush, and I'll be doing like the lower eyelids. So for that, I like to use this color, this, I don't know how to describe it, like this kind of muted brown color. Sorry, I'm not really good at descriptions. I just really like this brush just because like the width is good enough just for the eyelid, or like Aegyosal alone. So just gonna shade. That was so embarrassing. Just gonna shade my lower eyelid with this color. Alright, and for the main color of my lid, I'm just gonna apply some of this darker shade, which is kind of like a burgundy, I think. Yeah, I'm really not good at colors. I don't really want to overpower the matte pearl pink base, so I'm just gonna apply like really little, only at like the halfway line. Okay, maybe I applied too much. Oh, now as always, I like to get the ends here a little bit, blend it out, act like I know what I'm actually doing. Alright, so one of the cheats or hacks or tips that I've been seeing from Korean makeup YouTubers is that they actually been using the lighter shade of the palette as like a what is that called, a blending shade. So just gonna take a bit of this, like the light shade, and then a lot of them are just using that to blend the boundary of the eyeshadow look. So if you're someone who's really not good at eye makeup, this is really good for fixing up your mistakes so it doesn't look too pigmented. So this e.l.f. blending brush, I'm just gonna slightly blend the borders. Yeah. They said it makes for like a cleaner look, because I'll just say my weakness when it comes to doing eye makeup is definitely like the border part. Like I just don't know how to properly do it right every time. So as you can see, I really like to learn a lot from Korean makeup YouTubers, and that's all thanks to like the English subtitles they provide, because like without them I wouldn't be able to learn about these tips. So my perspective has definitely been changed now that I learned that you can use this really bright shade as a blending shade or like a transition shade. Because before I would just use this as like a base to like brighten up my eyelid, but now I can see the other use for it. Right now from afar, it really seems like I didn't really put much color on to my eyelids, but that's just what I really like about this palette, is that it looks really natural and subtle despite how colorful it comes off on my arm. So the next thing I always do with my eyeshadow makeup looks is like the eyeliner or shading contour part. So with this dark shade, I'm really gonna add more depth into my eyelids. Just gotta be really careful when it comes to how much I pick up, because these are pretty pigmented, I would say, like the darker shade. So for this, as always, I just go along the natural shape of my eye. And Korean makeup YouTubers, they really like to use that dark shade to smudge the eyeliner they do, or even like act as a guide. Mostly you just want to like focus on like the end tail. And for the next step, I'm gonna go back to this slightly lighter shade and do like the under eye. So this is like the triangle zone shading tip that I picked up from Korean YouTubers, and it's something I'm still working on, so I'm really not the best when it comes to it. So just gonna always make sure you don't have too much pigment, or else it'll look really unnatural. Like before I used to just follow along the line of my eye, but apparently you can go straight if you want to, so I'll just show it. So just taking the triangle zone, you want to just lightly shade it like this, stretch it out, and not go too far. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but I do have like this faint line connecting this part. It's kind of like you trace the outside of the triangle zone instead of going inwards, you go straight. Yeah, I'm still learning this tip, and apparently it's not meant for every eye shape, so maybe this is not meant for me, but who knows. But if you're someone who likes to do Aegyosal, then I would highly recommend you do that triangle zone tip, just because that is kind of important to showing off like the the Aegyosal more. This brush is really good because it's like a pointed tip and it's really small, so it's really good for getting those really fine details. And for one of the last steps I do, I like to have like a sparkly what's that called, topping shade, glitter topping shade on my upper eyelids. So for that, I like to use this one just because the glitter is a lot more obvious. Like these two are really good, but they're more like a shimmer, and this white one is more like a translucent opalescent opalescent shimmer. So this one's a lot more pigmented, especially when you want to do like more sparkly looks. So just on the middle of my eyelid. Alright, for the next part, I'll be doing something different than what I normally do, because typically, like I said, this palette can do like everything I need for an eyeshadow makeup look. For this one, I'm gonna show off something else that I bought that's related to Aegyosal. So for this, I'll be concealing the Aegyosal part of my eye. This is the Aegyosal Maker from Espra, and I really like the concealer side for being the base of my under eyes, just because I find mine to be really hard to show the pigment because it tends to be a lot darker than the rest of my eyes. Also, this pointed shape was something that I did to the pen. Originally it came out like really rounded, but because of that it was really hard to get to the inner crevices, so I just like shaved it off and made it into a point like this. So I don't want to go too crazy with the concealer, just like lightly like that. Don't really need too much, and then I always just get like a random brush and blend it out. I don't know if you guys can see the concealer in my lower eyelids, but that's just generally what I like to do when I have a lot more time with my makeup routine. Normally if I chose to use one palette for the entire makeup look, I would use this shimmer shade as like the finishing Aegyosal, but for this video I want to show off something that I recently bought from that Olive Young haul, and that is this palette from Peripera, and it is from one of their recent collections, and it is called the Peripera Ink Thin Brush Liner in the shade 06 Twinkle Beige. So this is actually part of their eyeliner series, and I think 5 and 6 are the new additions added for the Maltese line, and they're just like pure glitter liners. So based on the few times I've used this pen, I really like it. I hope it doesn't run out of ink too quickly like some other eyeliners that I've used from Korean brands. So let me just swatch it for you guys. I always just like to shake it before. So the swatch looks like this. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this, but that shiny thing reflecting from the light, that is the glitter that dispenses out of this pen. At first when it came to this pen, I was pretty surprised by how different I expected it to be. So I really thought it was gonna be like a really like shocking in your face glitter pen, but actually this is more like its name, which I should have expected. It definitely is like a beige glitter. So when you swatch it like this, you can definitely see the beige color come out. But I learned that if you apply this just on your eyes directly with no base color underneath, then it will definitely not show as much. So that's why to lighten up my lower eyelids in order for this glitter to really show. So right now I'm just going to apply it directly to my Aegyosal. So here's the difference using this glitter brush liner with and without. And as you can see, it makes like a really huge difference to the Aegyosal area. I was just really surprised by this glitter liner just because, like I said earlier, when I put it on without any like base, because I thought it would be pigmented on its own, the color did not really show. But actually when you do have a base color on your Aegyosal area, then this on top of that, it becomes the dark beige that you see in my hand goes a lot lighter. And that's how I learned when it comes to this eyeliner pen, you have to really have like a base on your Aegyosal in order for like the glitter to really show. Just look at this difference, guys. Like it really makes my under eyes pop a lot more. As you can tell, I really like to follow the Korean trend of shading your Aegyosal, so I bought like a lot of products over the past few years just to figure out the best way for my eyes to do this kind of style, because as I don't know if you guys can see, but like my main concern when it comes to my under eyes is that it creases. So sadly I do not have like a smooth base when it comes to the Aegyosal, so it will eventually separate and settle into my creases, which I don't like. So in the future, I can see myself reaching out for this pen over like my usual Aegyosal products, which is mainly like eyeshadow powder, because the powder does eventually kind of fade away. But for this one, I find that the pigment and the glitter still stays on even hours after initial application. So if you're someone like me who deals with a complicated under eye, then you might like this glitter pen for like the stronger pigment compared to like a powder. Alright, so the next step when it comes to eye makeup is going to be mascara. So here is a new mascara I bought, and it's the one from Etude. It is the Curl Fix mascara, and it's in the shade brown because I really wanted a new brown mascara because the ones I own are a bit too thick and heavy for me. So I've tried this mascara a few times already, and I really like it because it's not too heavy on the eyes, and it's also not a fiber mascara. So if you are someone who doesn't like to have fiber in their mascara formula, then this is a good one to check out. So I have already done a wear test with this mascara, and it has passed my test. So it really does keep my curls stay on all day. Well, not all day, but like 6 hours, I guess, which is usually when like the longest I have my makeup on. And I haven't noticed any like smudging throughout the day, so that's a good sign already. One thing I do have to say is that this removal might take a bit longer than usual, so it's no problem for me because I always use an oil, and lip remover. But for people who want like an easy removal of their mascara, then you might have to watch out for this one. Wait, I should be doing my eyeliner before I put on mascara. Alright, so I curled my, I curled my eyelashes off camera, and I'm gonna apply this mascara now for you guys. And here's how the wand looks like. It is not like a full-on C curve, and as you can see, it kind of picks up a lot of product on the wand. So what I learned is to kind of just scoop it away just in case, because I tend to like overdo it with mascara. Just want to go lightly. Okay, I think there's too much on the wand again. Yeah, so I guess you gotta be careful with that. When it comes to this mascara, there is a lot of product on the wand, so it might look kind of cakey when you first apply it, so be careful about that. So here's one eye with the mascara and without. Can you guys see the difference? I hope so. Alright, and this is how the Etude Curl Fix mascara looks like on my eyes. I think this Etude mascara is really good for people who like to have that trendy separated doll like eyelash look. However, it depends on your eyelashes, because sometimes when it comes to my eyelashes, they are definitely not perfect, so they're pretty uneven just by themselves. So sometimes I had to put in a lot more work when it comes to doing my eyelashes. What I mean is that when it comes to my eyelashes, I might have to do a bit more work than usual just to make sure that my mascara looks a lot more cleaned up like I prefer. But other than that, I have no problem with this formula at all. Like I said, it stays on for a long time, and it is pretty pigmented, so I can see like the slight brown. I was expecting a lighter brown finish, but overall it's still a good mascara. So this is my complete eye look, and normally after doing my eyes I would go with base, but for this video I just want to proceed with lips instead. So for the lip set of my makeup routine, I'll be showing two new products that I got recently, and that is this. It's the Dewyful Tint from the Roman My Melody Chromie collection, and this is something I just got yesterday, and that is the COLORGRAM lip liner. Before I show that Roman tint, I have to do something that is trending in Korea recently. Like I said earlier, I do like to follow the new trends from like Korean makeup YouTubers, so this is something that a lot of brands have been pushing recently, and that is like this lip liner product. I don't know what happened in the Korean makeup industry, but suddenly a bunch of brands are hopping on this new lip liner trend. So I'll just briefly talk about it, but from what I've seen, a lot of people are putting more focus onto their lips, like lip contour, because before a lot of people, I mean, okay, like in Korea, okay, like I don't speak for the whole Korean population, but from what I've seen, the trend was to just like use foundation and conceal your lips and then put a tint over it. But now they want to put a lot more detail into their lip makeup, so this is just one of the results from that. So COLORGRAM is just one of the several brands out there that are putting out lip liners, and this is just the cheapest one I found on Amazon. I have played around with this new lip contouring trend on my own, but personally for me, I wouldn't really do it like every day just because it is more time consuming. So when I do have like the time to put a lot more detail into my makeup routine, I would definitely play around with this. But personally for me, it's just I don't have any problems with the shape of my lips because these lip contours are for people over there who want to like change the lip, who want to change the shape of their lips. So a lot of people are doing like this over lip trend now, and they also like to contour their lip to make it look, I don't know, like look more obvious. So this is kind of just like their way of enhancing their lip shape that they might not be. Oh my god. So personally for me, I do not really care about the shape of my lips. I think it's fine the way it is. Like I don't really care. I don't think it's too thin or it's too thick. So I personally have nothing I want to alter. Yeah, I can't believe I went on this whole tangent just to explain this lip liner. But besides the contouring aspect that comes with these lip liners, you can they're actually using it as like a base for lips. So, and like I said before they would just like use foundation on their lips, but there comes like some downsides with that. Like eventually your lip, the products on your lips will collapse or fall apart if you use foundation, just because it is not meant for the lips. So a lot of brands are putting out these lip liners so you can actually have like a proper lip base underneath your tint to make the color actually show. So let me just swatch it for you guys. Lip liners, they come like this. They always have like this base shade, and then for the contour it comes out like this. You know, not every lip liner comes in this dual packaging, so some of them are really just separate. Like you can have lip liners just for like the base itself, or you can have lip liners just for the contouring. So I just like how this one from COLORGRAM is more efficient because of its dual shading and base side. I'm just going to show how I personally use this COLORGRAM lip maker on my own lips. Just like I said earlier, everyone has their own preference when it comes to like the shape of their lips. So for me, I think that people like to shade underneath their lips because it's not protruding so much. So for me, I'm fine with that. It just doesn't work for me. And yeah, I'm generally just okay with that. So I really don't use this lip liner for the contouring aspect of the trend. I like to use it as like the base of my lip makeup. So I think that's really good and useful to have in your, if you want to like step up your makeup routine. This is definitely something you should have in your makeup routine, especially if you're someone with discolored lips. So a lot of people are using these to like balance out the color of their lips, especially people who have like, it tends to be like darker on this side. This is definitely not a product I would use every time I apply a tint, but it's just kind of fun to have and play around with. So that's why I own it. So what I've seen is like they always start with the edge because that's where discoloration can be found. And you also want to make it more profound. Oh my god. Okay, do not talk while doing this. So the Cupid's bow is really important for them. And you just want to, if you want to do the over lip trend, you just slightly go over your natural lip edges, and then you can fill it in. So after applying this pink shade all over my lips are looking a lot more even in color and tone right now. So that's a perfect base for the next step, which is going to be the lip tint. Also very important to know is that you should definitely apply this lip liner after you exfoliate, because like right now, because I've been speaking for a long time, I kind of had like some like flakiness and buildup all over my lips. So I definitely advise people to put on this lip liner right away after exfoliating and not do it like hours after your routine and like eating. Okay, but before I put on the lip tint, I guess I should just talk about this formula. So I've only used this for a couple times and I haven't had any major problems with it. It doesn't seem too dry on my lips, and it's actually pretty easy to blend because I don't really have too many lip liners to compare it to, but for this one it's pretty easy to use on the lips, and it's also creamy, and it's also really easy to blend out, so it doesn't really stick to my lips that strongly. I also do own another lip liner, and that is this one from a Chinese brand called Forte, I think, and this one's a lot more warm toned. Let me just show you guys in comparison. Yeah, so this one's a lot, this is the cool toned one because I did buy the cool tone shade from COLORGRAM, and then that's why I wanted to try something else besides this warm tone. It's more like a beige from Flort, and I find that this one adheres to the lips even more than the COLORGRAM one. But if you're really interested in trying out this lip lining trend, then it is good to have a combination of both warm and cool tone lip liners in collection, because they normally suggest you do cool with cool and warm with warm. Because otherwise, if you put like a warm tint over a cool base, then it kind of messes up the original color. So that's just something else to know when it comes to this lip line trend. So the tint I'll be using over this base I just applied will be this one from Roman, the special one with my melody on it. And it is the Dewyful Waterful tint in the shade 17 Mellow Sugar. So I think there's like 4 shades in total. So there's 2 my melody and 2 Kuromi. And this is the one I like the most because it is the kind of color I gear towards too, because the other one, 16, was a bit too like pink for me, like a bluish pink. So this is the only one I would use. Let me just swatch this lip tint for you guys. So it is pretty on the warm side, and then you might be wondering, didn't you just tell us not to mix warm with cool and vice versa? But you know what, just for this video I wanted to show off like that COLORGRAM pen, and there isn't really too much of a difference when it comes to applying like the opposite tone over your base. You know, like it's just a suggestion, but you don't have to always follow it, you know. So with the recent Korean base lip trend, they're not applying the tint all over their lips. They're doing more like a gradient. So they're focusing more on applying the glowy tint to the middle. And by doing that, you can still see the base underneath, but still have like a glowy lip. So I'll be doing that for this video. So that's just how they do the first layer of their tint application. Of course, if you want more color, you can definitely go back in with more tint, but as long as you just apply from the middle and keep the edges like untouched. I think this is a really interesting way to apply lips. It's definitely different than what I normally do because I'm pretty much lazy most of the time, so I'll just like do a full lip of the tint and not worry too much about like the gradient or whatever. But this kind of style, I think it's really good for people who want to like learn more about makeup techniques, or like they just want to step up their game a bit. So like I said earlier, on my lazy days I probably won't go as detailed when it comes to my lip application. However, when I do have the time, I can definitely see myself playing around with these 2 products and following like the Korean trend. Oh my god, something I forgot to mention. So although I will not be using this side of the COLORGRAM lip maker for my lips, it is useful for other parts of your face. So if you really want to like line your Aegyosal and like make it more defined, then it is good for that. I'll just do it on camera for you guys. So because it is a contouring shade, it is not super pigmented, which is really good. But normally you just want to go really lightly. And you don't have to really worry about messing up, because it is, like I said, it is a pretty light it is a pretty lightly pigmented shade. But as always, you just want to blend it out a little bit so it doesn't look too unnatural. And normally you would apply the contouring shade first and then cover it up with like the highlighting shade, but I didn't do that for this video. Yeah, so as you can see, you can definitely see that shade for the Aegyosal with the pen I just used, and it might be kind of hard to see on camera, but once I put on the concealer, then my Aegyosal will definitely pop. So that was my transition to the next product I got from that Olive Young haul, and that is this, the WAKEMAKE Defining Cover Concealer, and this is in their lightest shade 13. So just a little story for you guys, I wasn't really planning on buying another Korean concealer because I kind of have like my trust issues when it comes to their shade range, because what I thought would be like the lightest shade is always too dark for me. And yeah, that's kind of the case with this one. I kind of took a gamble when it came to this concealer from WAKEMAKE, because just from like the pictures alone, I really thought that this would be a brightening shade. I mean they officially did advertise this shade in particular as like the brightening one, but it is still a bit too dark on me, which is why I turned to like the drugstore Western ones. But compared to the L'Oreal concealer I used for my under eyes, I realized that I kind of wanted something that was a lot more close to my natural skin tone. So with the L'Oreal concealer, that one's a lot brighter. However, it's just not something I can use on its own, like on a no makeup day, because that one I had to really use that concealer with a foundation, or else I'll look too like mismatched. I'll have like a mask around my eyes. With my knowledge on Korean concealer shades, I was hoping that if I were to buy the lightest one, then it would be more close to my natural skin tone. And after testing out this WAKEMAKE concealer for a few days, I feel like the risk I took paid off in the end. Here's a swatch of the WAKEMAKE concealer, and as you can see from compared to my hand, it might look a bit too dark for my skin. However, I realized that concealer is meant to be blended out, so the shade might not be as dark as it appears to be from a full swatch alone. Normally with my L'Oreal concealer, I would do that after my foundation, but for this one, in the case of the WAKEMAKE concealer, because it is slightly darker than the L'Oreal one, I'm going to do this first under my eyes, and then I'm going to cover it up with a foundation, just so like the mismatch isn't too obvious. So what I like to do with this WAKEMAKE one for the under eyes is just do a few dots. Okay, that was pretty big. So I'm just going to blend it with this concealer brush. And make sure it blends into my skin really well. Yeah, so this concealer, from the times I tested it, it is really good for the under eyes. Like, I haven't really experienced major creasing with it, so it is a good balance of like medium coverage, but it's also not too thick or heavy on the skin. Like, I even tested it out the other day, and you can actually layer on this concealer like at least twice without it creasing or getting too cakey. So this is the natural concealer coverage I was looking for, so I'm really glad that this WAKEMAKE shade number 13 worked out for me in the end. I normally wouldn't do this, but just for the camera, I'm going to show you guys how a second layer would look like underneath my eyes. So just another like slight dot in the inner corner, and then buff it out. So from my mirror with the second layer of that concealer, the pigmentation is definitely showing a lot more, so it is kind of more mismatched compared to my natural skin tone. Well, what I've learned is that I really cannot wear concealer on its own, no matter how close it is to my skin, just because I just have like a overall surface redness, so anything I put under my eyes will always look mismatched just because of like that redness I just mentioned. So that was a disappointing fact for me to learn. I really thought I could just pull off concealer by its own. Overall, I just really like this concealer because, like I said, it is not too cakey, and it's actually really easy to blend out, as you could see from the demo I just did. Anyways, this is just a before and after using this WAKEMAKE concealer. So this has 2 layers on this side, and as you can see, there's quite a big difference. I haven't really used concealer for concealing the dark spots I have, because that's just too tedious for me, because I just have so much. It's like a connect the dot on my face, but we can always try. So let's see, one of my darker spots right now, this is my most pigmented. I'm really not the best when it comes to covering acne marks. Like, I'm just not good at making it look natural and undetectable. So I've kind of just been really unbothered when it comes to concealing my blemishes, because you know what, I'm just gonna accept that as a part of me. You know, I don't really want to like conceal it, especially because it's so time consuming in the makeup routine. But yeah, I'm just not too obsessed with concealing my acne blemishes anymore. It's just too much work. Normally for concealer, sometimes they oxidize like a shade darker, but for this one from WAKEMAKE, I did not find any obvious oxidation, even like with or without the powder. So if you're worried about concealers oxidizing over time, I don't think you have to worry about that when it comes to this WAKEMAKE concealer. So right now when I look in the mirror, my Aegyosal is definitely a lot more defined because it has a contrasting concealer to work with underneath. Yeah, oh my god guys, I just really love this concealer. It is like the best thing I've ever tried. That's kind of a slight exaggeration, but like I just have a really low bar when it comes to Korean concealers because they let me down many times before in the past. So I'm really glad I found one that matches my natural skin tone and is also warm toned, just because a lot of the concealers in Korea, the lighter they go, like the pinker they get. So this is one of the very few brands that actually have like a warm tone light concealer shade. And then ironically, this brightening shade became like my normal concealer shade. I'm back with a full face of the Alicia cushion, and I'm really glad that this cushion did a good job in covering like the slight discoloration of my under eyes with the WAKEMAKE concealer. This just proves to me that there should be no problem with me using this concealer underneath this foundation because it will definitely be covered. And based on what I'm seeing in the mirror, I really cannot detect any traces of the WAKEMAKE concealer underneath my eye. So it is definitely a lot more natural looking compared to like a super bright under eye concealer over your foundation. Overall, this is just a really good concealer and I can definitely see myself using this a lot more in the future. So something else I bought recently is this off-brand pointed powder brush from Amazon, and it's just something that I really wanted in my routine because I realized that the brushes I own when it comes to powder are too fluffy and too big because I just really want to like get to the under eyes and my T-zone because I don't really want to mattify my whole face anymore. So I also learned that the way the bristles are packed is really important to the finish. Let me just get the other brushes I have in my collection. So this is the fluffy flower nose powder brush, but as you can see, compared to this one, it is slightly wider and a bit bigger. And this is the cheap one from Wet n Wild. And this one is just like too coarse. It's very similar to this cheap Forever 21 brush. Like it's just too uneven the way the bristles, I keep saying brushes. It's just too uneven the way the bristles are packed. So it always like messes up my base makeup underneath. So that's when I realized the importance of having a powder brush that is a bit more tightly packed, but also like smaller in size so I can get to like the crevices of my face. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'll just be using this flower nose loose powder from my circus box back from Christmas. Yeah, so just gonna go crazy with this. Make sure like every part of the brush is covered, and then I'll just apply powder where I usually would, so like my oily T-zone and just like my under eyes, because I don't want to really lose the glow that comes with the foundation. So just here, yeah, I just like tapping it on, especially like my nose area. That is where like my makeup gets disrupted the most whenever I use a brush. You know, like I would apply it would look smooth when I applied the makeup on. It would look smooth when I apply that foundation on top, but then like once I actually go in with a brush, then like the brush bristles like just mess up the finish, and then I'm sad. A good powder brush is really important, especially when you have textured skin like me, due to the retinoids. So you really don't want to have a brush that's too heavy, or else it will really drag your skin texture and emphasize the flakes. So when it comes to like really complicated or problematic under eyes or skin texture, you really just want to like pat it lightly like this. That's what I always do. And then with this one, it is not too tightly packed, so you can actually drag it across your face where there's like not too much makeup. So like for my forehead, it is really easy to drag and it's not disrupting anything underneath. But for the areas you want a bit more coverage and has like a lot more base makeup, like the inner parts of your cheek, you definitely just want to like tap it lightly like this, and this brush is perfect for that. So if you're looking for a new powder brush that's really cheap in your makeup collection, then I'll just provide the Amazon link below in my description box. This is really good. So after my powder stuff, I would normally call it a day with my makeup routine, but for this video I want to show you guys something that I was really looking forward to trying out, and that is this setting spray from Korea. It is the So Natural All Day Tight Makeup Setting Fix. This is not like a really known brand overseas, but this is actually really popular in Korea right now. It's probably like one of the top setting sprays in the market. Although it's not so well known overseas, you can actually find this on Amazon for a pretty decent price. So I got this for like, I don't know, almost $14. But before that, I did see this go around for like 12-ish. So it really depends on the time you find this item listing, because based on the price, it seems to be going up slightly, like the more people keep buying it. So just be careful about that. I really can't guarantee that this will be like an affordable price by the time you find this listing on Amazon. Also, don't worry, this is a legit product. It is not like a counterfeit spray. I actually used this setting spray already off camera before I applied on that WAKEMAKE concealer, because they recommend you apply this before and after your makeup for like the best adhesion. Like I said earlier, this is a really popular spray in Korea, and I was just really curious to try it out, just because one of the YouTubers I follow like was praising this so much, and you know, I trust her opinion. So I was really glad to find this for a pretty decent price on Amazon. And Normally I do not use setting sprays, but then I found out that the Peripera one that I showed from like last year, there's something wrong with the nozzle. Like I just cannot get it to unclog, so the spray, it doesn't come out like a fine mist anymore. It's like it goes straight at a weird angle, so it's not covering, it doesn't cover my entire face anymore. So let me just demonstrate this mist for you. What I really like about it is that it is so fine you really cannot feel it, so you have to be, I like to be really generous when it comes to this spray, but I probably don't have to go too crazy, but I just like want to feel that I have something on my face. It is really fine, so they suggest you spray it 20 to 30 centimeters away from your face, so kind of like this, but I like to go a bit closer. And it still doesn't mess up my makeup, so this is gonna be the first time I'm actually applying this over a full face of makeup. Let me just spray it in front of the camera, so like it is. Did you guys see that? I don't know if you guys saw it, because that's just how fine the mist is. Like, so let me just show you how I would apply this mist to my face. Alright, and that's pretty much all you need when it comes to this setting spray from So Natural. Really easy product to use. I'll be sad when I eventually use this up, because like I said, I do like to go a bit ham when it comes to applying setting spray, so I can see this one going away really fast. And this is actually not too easy to buy. I mean, like I said earlier, the price keeps going up on Amazon, so I bet by the time I finish this bottle, it's gonna be like, I don't know, 20 bucks on Amazon, and then that's just way too expensive for me personally. I haven't actually personally tested myself if this setting spray can control the oil levels beneath my makeup like people have claimed it can, but I just really like the user experience of this spray. Like I said, it's just so fine. I really like going crazy with it. And I think that with this spray in particular, because the mist is so fine, it doesn't really matter how many layers you put on. I don't think it will affect your makeup too much. As for the finish, it is not too matte or too dewy. It's like a really good balance in between, which I personally like myself. Like you can still see my skin glow underneath, even with like the powdering I did before. So just from my first impression, I think it's a really nice Korean setting spray to try out, especially if you want to use the stuff that's really popular in Korea. The fine mist of this spray is just amazing, and I have heard some complaints about the fragrance, but it doesn't personally bother me too much. It is really not like a perfume. It just has like a slight scent, so it's not too bad personally. So if you're ever looking for a setting spray, then I would definitely say you should check this one out. And there you guys have it. That was a video of me trying on a bunch of new makeup products I got from Olive Young and Amazon recently. And as you can tell, my voice is kind of dying, so let me just drink some water. I hope you guys enjoyed this makeup routine. This is actually one of the first makeup videos I've ever done that's really in-depth about what I do with my makeup, and that's just because I learned a lot from the Korean YouTubers I follow. And they give a lot of good tips, and I'm just really interested in trying out the trends that are popular in Korea recently. I just find it really fun to learn new tips from the Korean side of beauty YouTube. And of course, when it comes to these kind of things, you get more influence into buying the latest and most trendy products over there. So I'm really glad that a lot of new Korean makeup is accessible through Olive Young and Amazon. Not sponsored, by the way. Everything I show you guys is bought with my own money. So as always, if you like this video, don't forget to click on the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!